So way back in the day, and I really tried to think about which year it was, but I missed the man burn that year, so I didn't know. But I actually camped with Disorient, and we ran a thing called Blinkie Hospital. So if you had L-wire, so it was a while ago, if you had L-wire things like that,
So
that
that's
broke.
at least before like 2010,
Correct.
before the LED revolution.
Correct.
It wasn't the year that the man burned down early.
No, it was not.
Before-
that was after that, because I wasn't around for that. Let's go with 2010. I want to say it was 2010.
All right.
We'll just go there. My friends had been trying to get me to go to Burning Man for a very, very long time. and-
Rightfully so. You are someone we desperately need at all times.
but I don't like parties.
Yeah, no, a lot of us don't.
That is a
struggle
very
party ain't a party.
People misapprehend the nature of this thing. It's only somewhat a party.
Oh, absolutely. When I say Burning Man, I say, hey, come look at the future of how the world is going to work in a post-apocalyptic manner, and that gets people more excited than, hey, let's go out into the desert and do a bunch of drugs and fuck each other.
I mean, I like engineer porn and fuck each other.
Yeah, let's go out to the test bed of the postmodern future and see some cool art and have some sex inside it. Maybe while high.
You have to tailor the message to your audience. I live in the Midwest. We are not. We are definitely not the poly paradise you were looking for.
No poly paradise is the poly paradise we're looking for.
Yeah, because the Midwest swings, baby.
Then scratch cool art and say cool cars.
The thing I always tell people about Burning Man is that it is not really an event. It is the construction of a large city. And within that city of 80,000 or so people, there are all of the things that you will find in the city.
Yep.
When I gave my heart to the Playa, I said, if I'm meant to be here, tell me what it is. In that moment, some friends of mine from Seattle who had been trying to get me to go forever, Slim had been trying to get me to go forever. And I said, no, man, that's, you know me. That's
Great
not
taste.
really my
That's
thing.
great taste.
And he kept trying to get me to go, finally convinced me, and I went with Disorient Esplanade dance camp.
Huge
Oh,
dance
the best.
camp. The first Playa joke I ever got was Disorient. So silly, so great.
I mean, there are really amazing artists and wonderful people inside Disorient, but I'm not really a dance kid. And it was Jack and Divide from Seattle, who used to run the Castle Car, which I think hasn't made an appearance in quite some time, said, hey, why don't you go deliver mail? And so I was like, okay, I'll check this out. Go to Center Camp, deliver mail. And that's when I really fell in love with Burning Man, because every single postcard package, whatever it was a different adventure, a different culture, a different camp, a different scene. And usually it's the most popular people in camp that get mail. So once you walk in and say, I have something for your camp mayor, they will welcome you with open arms and tell you about their thing and help you find and deliver that postcard to the mayor. And that's what got me hooked. And in 2 short years, I was running the 3 and 9 back-end logistics.
Oh, wow.
Competencied your way into all kinds of shit, didn't you?
Unfortunately, yes. Don't like parties, stay sober, is somewhat competent. You end up
Be
managing.
careful, competent people. You think you can come near us, but not without getting sucked in.
And don't think that not staying sober will keep you out of management. If you're functional,
That's fair.
Welcome to Accuracy Third.
I'm Rex.
I'm D-Day.
I'm Beth. Holy shit. Do you guys remember before Burning Man this year?
Oh, my God. We went to Burning Man this year.
And before we went to Burning Man, we went to Burning Man.
Yes, we did.
Sort of.
And this is a nice little jaunt we took, like 5-6 weeks before Burning Man started.
Something like that, yeah.
What do you call that? I always think of it as the ranch, but it's called Black Rock Station.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the station part of it? Is it like a depot? Is that why it's a station?
Sure.
I mean, it's mostly a garage.
It's stationary.
Yeah.
Oh, like a service station.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it
yeah.
has gas, though.
Well, it has services.
I'd be surprised if they didn't have some kind of fuel tank.
Probably right.
I mean, it's not like they're going to be moving all those vehicles into Gerlach every time they need to fuel it up.
Yeah.
They got a lot of stuff there. They got hangars and warehouses and bays and so many vehicles. Some of them even run.
And a refrigerator, like, just full of delicious meals for you to snack on. I had hair.
Hair?
You had hair. You found some hair in the fridge?
Yeah, like hair, like big fucking bunny rabbit.
Oh,
hair.
Bunny.
Yeah, it was good.
Ah.
I like hair.
Yeah.
I grew up eating varmints. It's best if you have, like, pieces of hair like this was, as opposed to somebody giving you some sort of a rodent stew.
I see. I've not had bunny. I'm also like, I'm ambivalent about my own meat eating, and so I don't need to expand it.
Unless it's to bugs. We should all probably be eating more bugs. But weren't we supposed to be talking about this podcast we're
Hair.
introducing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we went up to...
Reno. Have you guys ever been to Reno? We were there at night.
Where were we? I thought we were in Sparks.
We're a Circus.
Yeah, we got...
Oh, that's right. We were at Circus.
What a garbage hotel.
We had
It is Accuracy Third's official stance that Circus is a garbage fucking hotel.
You know, that was such a traumatic experience. I think I had blanked it from my memory.
I have been to hotels on the Jersey Shore and Virginia Beach, and you know what? None of them are as bad as the Circus. I have been to the Circus in fucking Carson City.
Ooh.
And you know what's worse? The one in Reno.
Oh, man.
We did have to wait like a good 25 minutes to get in a elevator to go to our room on the 20-something floor.
And then the wait was similar coming back down, so Beth and I didn't even wait. That was the longest single stair climb or stair descent that I've ever done.
Oh, you didn't escape the wedding I was in a triad during. It was at the top of the Smith Tower in downtown San Francisco. I went down like 109 floors to get away from that wedding.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It was, look, there needed to be some big act of catharsis.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to isolating in a stairwell is a pretty good place to isolate.
Like, you know when you really got to move as far away from something as you possibly can while not leaving it at all?
Content warning, isolation.
Stairs.
So we went up to Black Rock Station to do some productive work for our Burning Man department on some of our equipment. And while we were up there, we had the opportunity to squeeze in some recording time.
With some really neat people.
Of course, they're absolutely incredible people. It's Burning Man volunteer pool. 99 out of 100 are absolute treasures, and that one's a psycho.
But we didn't meet that psycho.
No, not this time.
Not that trip.
Not this time at all.
We met Brace.
And Brace was kind enough to tell us all about the really fucking incredible work he's doing with solar power on our behalf.
Yeah.
All while hanging out on a trampoline on an art project with no metal fasteners.
Yep. At the 360, at the new doohickey, where participants with big camps and the money to have containers stored by the org can go to this spot and look at their shit, dig through it, clean it
Store
up.
their containers, store their art cars.
Do so underneath a solar-powered shade. The solar-powered future is only at this one place in Nevada and nowhere else in the country.
With
Yeah.
that said, we also ran into Brace at Burning Man.
A bunch.
Way more than you would expect to run into any individual at Burning Man that you aren't camped with. It was really great to run into Brace out there. He came to our listener appreciation party. Mm-hmm. And then we tried to, because now that I'm a big professional burner and have to have a radio on during the event, we tried to use them to meet up with Brace while he was on a ranger shift. And as wont to happen, rangering needed to happen. So we missed each other.
Mostly, we did find each other burn night.
Oh, so you may have given Brace COVID.
Pretty sure he just had it.
Right. Maybe he gave us.
Then
COVID.
maybe he does
gave us COVID.
Yeah. You know, the COVID moves around is one of the big problems with COVID. Well, Brace gets around. Brace worked 3.5 departments or so this year. Yeah, and Brace not only worked as DPW and gate and as a ranger, he also stayed after and did resto.
Mm-hmm. Because Brace is incredible. Mm-hmm. As you, dear listeners, are about to learn.
Oh, God, because, like, you could actually jump on a trampoline up here. That's why there's a trampoline up here.
That's why there's a trampoline.
Oh, my God. What a fucking idea that is.
Welcome to Accuracy Third, first ever remote recording at a Burning Man site before Burning Man happened. We finally goddamn did it. So we're recording here from the 360 property, from a trampoline on the second floor of an art project, because we're cool like that. And because we're cool like that, we got Brace with us, who is doing some cool goddamn shit here.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. This is, man, I am so excited about the shit that is happening in Nevada right now. This is the kind of stuff that'll make Burning Man sustainable. Thank you so much for contributing to it.
It's really exciting.
You're most welcome. It's a huge privilege and a joy and honor, all of the things, to be able to be part of the first wave of getting Burning Man to their 2030 sustainability goals, which are really aggressive and in many ways not enough.
What are the sustainability goals for 2030? Just out of curiosity, I have no idea.
Oh, so in a phrase, rather.
Well, give us a word first, then expand upon it with a phrase.
The word is Neverending Season 5.
Better not be light or sun.
The core idea behind Burning Man's 2030 sustainability goals is for it to be better for the ecology of the Earth, for Burning Man to exist than to not exist.
Oh.
So instead of burning things, we're going to start like plasma dissolving them.
That is a lovely and idealistic goal. Mm-hmm. Do you think it can happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I am 100% behind it. I think that theme camps can go all solar in the next 5 years. The project that I'm working on, the prototype that you saw up at Fly Ranch, Icarus, which is behind us over here on the container pad of the 360, are all part of a overall design scheme to get camps to build solar shade structures for Burning Man, but then take them home and use them in their houses, use them for regional events, use them to provide power for a park, to get people off of these incredibly dirty, small gas and diesel generators. So Icarus is the first solar shade structure that's going to be permanent. It's the first solar shade structure that is providing power for a specific Burning Man use. It's out here on the container pad at 360, and it serves two purposes. One, to provide shade for people to empty out their containers. The whole container program that Burning Man runs is going to be moved out here to the 360.
And that is, for folks who don't know, theme camps can have containers that they keep out here. So instead of like you ship all of your infrastructure back and forth, you can leave like your lumber, your stuff that can sit. You can just leave it out here, and then Burning Man will actually place it for you at your camp on Playa. It's this really cool thing to help make it be less hauling of everything everywhere every year. And it's part of the reason why we've gotten such large and cool theme camps over the years. Like, do you think the French Quarter is hauling that shit out every fucking year? No. They need a container where they can leave their giant, weird, what is it called? Facade. They need to have a container for their giant, weird facade. So those are the people that we're talking about, are people who store large amounts of shit for their theme camp.
Now they can get into those containers in the shade and sort through their shit instead of having to do it on Playa.
Exactly. And transportation logistics, moving stuff back and forth to Playa, is the biggest single contributor to climate change. So expanding the container program is one of the ways... For Burning Man. Is one of the ways that we're going to achieve those 2030 sustainability goals. For a very long time, there was a long wait list on the container program because...
There's only so much space out at Black Rock Station.
There's only so much space out at Black Rock Station. Honestly, we need to keep Black Rock Station hippie-free.
As someone arguably hippie-like, I definitely see that it is not a safe place for me to be. I could so easily, like, trip in my Birkenstocks and kill myself.
There are many, many potential ways to kill hippies in Black Rock Station. Some unintentional, some...
I mean, at the very least, they're going to get gouged. And if you cannot gouge a hippie, then you don't need to explain to a hippie that, like, their blood is their problem.
I didn't understand that this particular area was to make hippies safe in their quest to go to Burning Man.
It also makes DPW safe.
It does.
It indemnifies them from culpability.
We need them slightly separated for everybody's happiness.
I hope that you all signed the death waiver before you got here. And as I've been pointed out, it is the death and dismemberment waiver, not just the death waiver.
You're not going to leave the corpse whole.
Just because it's hard to describe, especially if you're not deep in this culture. What you're building is a series of shade structures that collect power for people to work under while they're dealing with their containers. And that amount of power can charge electric cars, can help them with their shit while they're out here. It kind of blew me away. I had not, I don't think about the sustainability stuff very much.
It's because you never check your privilege, Beth.
I mean, mostly what I think about is like electricity is scary, and I'm not quite sure how to use it very well, but somehow it's vaguely my job. And boy, aren't there people who know a lot more about that than me. And seeing that setup, it just it's so exciting. I laugh because my first year was the Green Man. My theme camp did a conversion for a truck to make it biofuel, biodiesel. Mm-hmm. We almost killed that entire rental truck that we did without their permission.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Jesus.
And that was the year that the man burned down early, and that was the first time I'd ever seen the fireworks or any of that stuff, and I'm like, Green? What are you talking about, Green? We spent so much time and energy and so many truck breakdowns trying to use this corn oil to go over these mountains, and then the largest explosions I've ever seen happen on Playa. So I'm kind of wondering, how does the fireworks, the explosions, how does that fit into sustainability?
It's less than the generators.
So the fireworks and the explosions and the art and everything like that bring incredibly creative, incredibly influential, incredibly talented people to this big party that we throw in the desert. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I don't even like the event that much. I am so down for Build Week. I am so down for Strike. I'm so down for Resto.
It's no wonder you're volunteering for 3 teams this year.
Yeah. I don't like the event. I just want to work.
That basically is my party, is making sure that you have a good party. But the reason that I believe so strongly in doing this sustainability work here at Burning Man is to show people who are the visionaries, who are the people who inspire, the people who drive a lot of creativity and magical things where they live, giving them examples of something that they can do, telling them all about it and saying, you can totally do this. Here are the plans. Here's my experiences. We've got classes on Burning Man Hive. The whole idea behind doing this here is so people will go back to where they live and do it there.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that we have to eliminate all of the wasteful things that we do. We just have to make sure that on balance, we're being more contributive.
Right. We can do more. I think about that with the Playa a lot, which is I love BLM land. I go seek it out. I go find it anywhere that I can. And it's often has trash in it. And I try to pick it up.
Yep.
And I feel like this Playa is obviously much better off trash-wise because Burning Man happens here.
Despite what you may have seen on certain YouTube videos.
Absolutely. You have no idea how much trash like one shitty camping party could leave out here compared to what the amount of trash that Resto cleans up. Mm-hmm. I believe there's a way. I just have not really had a lot of faith in it because, the world is dying and all of that shit. But solar seems really exciting.
To go back to that point about the world is dying, I'm 100% on board with that. We're on borrowed time, and for any one of 12 different reasons, Western civilization could come to a grinding halt at any minute. And I think people who burn are people who practice for the apocalypse. We're literally going to one of the harshest places on the planet and figuring out,
how can we have fun here?
And how do we do it with the complete and total lack of infrastructure? So those people that have that party out there in the desert are already prepared for a post-infrastructure world. And so who better than burners to drive a lot of this change to try to save a dying world? And that's why I'm so invested in this work and why I spend way too much time out here teaching people how to build solar. I put 2 bolts in Icarus. The rest of it was done entirely by a crew of people, some DPW, some participants who were here at the Net Zero 360 event, some people who just showed up and were curious, what's going on? Oh, you're here. Here, this is an impact driver. This is a screw. This is how it works. That's Burning Man, right?
Mm-hmm. That is.
So many of the best Burning Man experiences just start with, hey, what's that? What are you doing?
Exactly.
This is weird.
That's how you get to use that big walk behind chainsaw trencher.
Oh, yeah.
I love me a ditch.
Yeah, well, what's that dangerous dick that you're shoving in the ground and making a channel with? Can I hold that in front of my crotch? I can.
That is like the most Tom Sawyer tool there ever was.
Yeah.
You have a hard time completing a task with that without handing it off to somebody.
If Tom Sawyer was lucky enough to see an auger, let alone use one.
So, because I know this and our listeners don't, on top of all of this labor that you're doing outside of the actual event itself, what are you doing for the event itself this year?
So at the event this year, I'm going for the Burning Man Triple Crown, which is working DPW, Gate, and Rangers in the same season.
I love that. Because I think those are the 3 hardest departments. Like, you can work a greeter shift and a gate shift, no one cares.
I don't know why you have to shit on Earth Guardians so much, Beth.
Or ESD, Beth.
ESD, we hire those folks. I mean, there are volunteers for that.
Yeah, we hire Rampart.
Yeah.
I mean, ESD and Green Dot Rangers do have to do a lot of emotional labor during camp.
Did you recently become a ranger, or have you been doing it for a while?
I completed my training out here on Playa during Juplaya, the classic ranger event.
know you could do ranger training on Juplaya. That's rad.
That's when it's traditionally been.
What? Huh. So you'll be working your first, like, non-scene shifts on Playa this year.
Yes, that's correct. I'll be doing New Blood with Gate, so they have us working out those schedules right now. I have to go into the Ranger Clubhouse, schedule my alpha shift, and...
Do you have a notion of how many shifts you're committing to each team?
It depends on the number of parties I need to avoid. Because think about it, nobody's going to say, why didn't you come to my party in the blah, blah, blah? Oh, I had a ranger shift. Why didn't you? I had a gate shift.
You don't understand. I'm well suited for 3 departments.
They absolutely needed me, which if you know any of the departments is absolutely not true.
Which one are you looking forward to the most?
The thing I'm looking forward to is really digging into the culture of each of the 3 departments because they are so distinct. You know, Gate has that donning the black, malort drinking, black hole kind of culture.
We don't like ourselves or anyone else, but we have all of the weird sex.
They're doing self-bondage.
Self-bondage?
Yeah.
Sometimes at point 4.
Sure.
That's the bondage point.
This is what happens when you don't walk the trash fence.
We can hike out to point 4 one night.
I didn't even know point 4 existed, which makes sense to me why that is where Gate does their bondage.
There's a point 1 and a point 5. You didn't suss it out.
1, 2, 3, 5.
You know, no one ever
time.
accused me of logical thinking.
And Rangers, their culture is, well, removing friction that emerges at the event. And then, of course, DPW builds the city.
And
introduces friction into the event. Very much so. Yeah.
At least you said it and I did it.
Yeah, no. This is why I've always found DPW/Rangers the neatest part of the city. It's like you are both of the best things about this that are in opposition to each other.
Just wait until you meet the DPW Rangers.
We've
They're
been
an
lucky
interesting
enough
bunch.
to meet 1 or 2. They are a rare breed and very nice.
But the Gate Rangers are unsurprising in almost every way.
Gate Rangers?
You could guess a Gate Ranger by looking.
Yeah.
They're a gate person who smiles at you when you walk into the black hole.
And offers you a drink, welcomes you in.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
not Malort.
Yeah. Dusky Ranger.
Oh, it's always Malort.
Any nice gate person may be a ranger.
Oh, that is just the worst drink.
Malort?
Malort.
I think that's why they accepted my application is I spoke highly of Malort.
If you know what to tell them, they appreciate that.
That is definitely Gate apple polishing.
And the Black Hole is a really good bar. I mean, I like
Black
it.
Yes.
Hole is an excellent bar.
Yep.
Black
Highly
Hole is one of
recommended.
my top 5 bars.
And participants, you can go. You're welcome to go.
You are welcome to go to a staff bar
Yep.
You
and
are
interact with staff.
welcome to go to the Black Hole.
Uh-huh.
We won't know who you are if you fit in. And if you don't fit in, try to fit in.
If you would like to fit in, just come in dusty and angry. That is the first time I ever felt like I totally belonged in the black hole, was when I
Stomping your way in.
ate a playa snake. I'd been there for like a week and a half. I came in covered in dust, and that was the first time the bartender didn't go, I'm going to ignore you pointedly for several minutes.
The fastest way to get served at the Black Hole is to drive your DPW van where the logo is perfectly in view through the door on the street. Hop out, saunter on in, and they will serve you very immediately to get you out of there and onto your water break.
Yeah, DPW very welcome at the Black Hole. Gate kind of welcome at the saloon.
Everyone is welcome at the saloon.
Sure.
You just have to fit in more at the saloon than you fit in at the Black Hole.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the saloon in Gerlach,
No, we're talking about
you're talking about
Ghetto
the
Bar.
they get, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
You got to get the terminology right. If you're talking about the saloon, that's in Gerlach. If you're talking
The
about
ghetto
the
saloon.
bar near the DPW
I've
housing
never-
situation on Playa, which I refuse to call by its canonical name for various different reasons.
Right, for very reasons. Like, we have a section of our camp that goes by that particular canon of naming, and I'm always like, this seems weird.
At least that one's alliterative.
What?
The Gaff Tape Ghetto.
The Gaff Tape Ghetto.
Oh, yeah.
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 And given how people who habitually use gaff tape are treated by the
Who don't?
by, yes, by
I
those
think
who
that's
don't.
actually the comparison we don't want to invite.
You theater nerds.
Yeah. But still, like, not quite racist, but pretty racy.
I mean, this is the master-slave thing on your boxes. This is something that happens in electrical stuff a lot. Happens in lighting a lot. There is a master light and a slave light. There's these things that these terminologies that it's really useful to step away from because it's garbage and it's not useful and it's awful. So what other words do we use?
Male and female.
Lead
No,
and deputy.
Lead and deputy is still so copy. I feel like there's a way to do this without cops and without genders and without masters and without slaves. I feel like clone is good. Like, that is, I'm a clone of the progenitor and clone.
Nucleus and clone.
I could do nucleus and clone. Anything that gets us away from.
But granted, I still have to be able to explain it to DPW people who understand the lead deputy, because that's how their management structure works. You have like the manager that deals with the bureaucracy and the deputy that runs the crew.
It could be root and branch.
I didn't know that structure system was still within DPW. Interesting.
It really depends on the crew. So, I mean, some crews aren't big enough to have two managers, one that interfaces with the real
Org
management of the org,
Yeah.
and one that interfaces.
Principal and vice principal.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
The vice principal is actually the hard ass.
Subject and object.
That's darker than I think master slave. I think
Innie and Audi.
Innie and Audi.
Then I think you're going for
That's
high school English.
We could
combo.
do male female that way.
For
This is-
plugs, yeah.
Pins and receptors are what I've done for male female with
Yep.
plugs. Pins and receptors.
Plug and socket. Like, one thing is a plug, another thing is a socket. A plug goes in a socket.
It's hard to describe that to students because both of them fit into each other. There isn't actually a penetrator.
Finger in a butt.
Penetratee. They both
Thank you,
interlock.
patrons, for all of the money that you give us so we can do things like drive into the ass of Nevada to interview friends on top of large structures. Y'all are great.
Pinky and nostril.
Pinky and ear, final offer.
Elbow and ear.
Yes, and?
So I had driven people out in my van to a sunrise set somewhere on the 3 o'clock side. And they went to go party and I was just kind of enjoying the sunrise. And there was this kid that just had a BMX bike and a ramp and was asking people to play with it. And so I was like, oh, cool, I'll do that. And, all the pretty sunrise set kid people. And then me in my dusty Carhartts and totally trash fly fishing shirt is showing up these kids how to ride their BMX stuff. And right when I think I'd landed my best trick, this fight breaks out right behind me.
Oh, shit.
And so
Like a physical fight.
Yeah, a physical fight. And
They were upset that he was so good.
I wish.
It's like in an 80s movie.
Well, totally unrelated. I think it was towards the end of the week. And in the middle of this fight, this person randomly breaks up the fight by saying, I need to go to the medical tent. I need to go to the medical tent. I need to go to the medical tent. And so I'm like, hey, no, let's just jump in my van and we will roll right there. I go to get the van after pointing out where 3 o'clock medical was. And he starts just taking off for it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I should probably jump in my van and follow him in case he drops so I can throw him in the van and get him to medical. We end up getting to medical, and he's wandering around. Oh, I need medical. And the nurses there, I'd already called it in on my radio. The nurses there are just going like, nope, you are not our problem. And I didn't know what they were referring to. He was a green dot case, and it was very clear to them that he was a green dot case. So they were go over and take him to the Rangers. And I'm just sitting there talking with him, trying to calm him down. I had worked out a kind of rapport with him. And the Rangers at the ranger station thought I was the green dot ranger responding to the call that I had made because it was sunset during shift change.
Rangers
Sunrise. After sunrise during shift change, and they thought I was not in uniform green dot ranger dealing with it because we were responding to each other very well. He would wander off, I would pull him back in, and it actually took Khaki to show up on scene to tell the Rangers, why are you just letting this random brace dude handle this guy? And then they took over.
You are the classic, not a made ranger, a ranger found. You just got to put a hat on it.
Yep. That is the mantra.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a radio on you, so there's
You can get away with a
some
lot with a
logic
radio
to
on
that
you.
assumption.
You also can't get away with a lot with a radio on you. Everyone who has a radio on you, be careful. Don't be a
Oh, yeah. Be really
obvious
responsible
drug-dealing
with that radio
asshole
on you.
in front of cops. Sorry.
Unless you're on
What?
state radio.
No, it's never happened that someone went on with a radio has gotten in extra trouble for doing drugs with the radio on in front of cops.
It was not a Xeno rangering situation.
No.
That is
Not this
That is
time.
one of my favorite stories ever.
Maybe one day you'll be a DPW ranger.
God, no.
Which
I will
Xeno story?
I will never, ever DPW ranger. I do not. That is way too much drama for me. I just want to go in, do a job, get out, and not need therapy.
DPW Rangers have had a lot of therapy. They know the worlds they walk between.
Oh, they are first in line. When the
Yeah.
therapist comes out to Gerlach, it's HR and DPW rangers. And who's first depends on the week. You might need to cut that out.
Yeah, we'll see.
I love actually listening to episodes where you're saying in the episode on my phone, we're going to cut this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good at follow
It's a good gag.
This is one of our
It's a really
things.
good gag. I mean, I usually cut out things that are important, but like the transitions between sentences are fine. And then somebody says that they're going to cut something out that is still untoward, but not incriminating.
The way I got my current ply handle, I was working on a container for the 9 o'clock post office, which is plywood and carports and moopy, and I didn't like it. So I said, I'm going to fix this by making it a container. And it was a container that year. We were working on it in New Jersey. I was living in New York at the time, just like if you live in San Francisco, you work on your container in Oakland. And I had just cut into the Corten steel, which if water hits it, it rusts on contact. That's what it's designed to do.
Wait, what?
Yes, the steel, if the outer coating of a container, the steel inside of it, if it is somehow nicked or dinged or penetrated, it creates this ridiculous kind of rust right on contact with water.
Intentionally. So?
Yes, intentionally.
So that you can tell if it's been...
Well, because if it gets banged in shipping or something like that, it
you will
creates
know.
that rust barrier.
It's obvious.
Right, it's obvious. And so we looked like it was going to rain. I go to the tool chest looking for a tarp. I see something labeled in Sharpie, 20-foot tarp. It was a 40-foot container, tie off on one end, start pulling the tarp really, really tightly. Next thing I know, I'm in an ambulance because I had walked off the back of the container, cracked my skull open.
Oh,
which is
my
this
God.
scar that you see right here.
Fucker.
And had a compression fracture of T4 through T7. So I can literally say I have broken my back for Burning Man.
And your skull.
So you can't go on roller coasters.
No, I can't. It's totally fine. The traumatic brain injury actually turned out to help in a lot lot of
How so?
Like trepanning. Pat.
I no longer have that alcoholic desire for alcohol, and my suicidal ideation went away.
Shit.
Yeah.
So were you not drinking when you had the accident?
Yeah.
But then the desire went away.
Yeah, the desire went. And the weird thing was I didn't really discover it until so after I broke my back, I kind of took a pause from Burning Man, moved to Mexico, and in Mexico people said, "Oh, you should have mezcal." I was like, "Is it alcoholic?" Yes. And I took a shot thinking, "Okay, you know what? I should go on a rampant Mexican bender. It's totally time to break my sobriety." And then I had that normal thing of, "Okay, that was interesting. Man, I'm going to feel bad in the morning." And it did that whatever that thing is that when alcoholics drink, they just have to keep drinking.
Right.
Just went away. I do not recommend TBIs to cure alcoholism.
No.
No.
But we've all seen Pi. We know what's at stake.
No, trepanation is a much safer route.
Not drilling holes in anybody's brain.
No, you got to do it to your own brain.
And drilling, Beth, is archaic. You punch that hole. One quick, clean stroke.
I love the idea and the reality that I've run into that hallucinogens specifically can help with addiction and with like recontextualizing self in positive ways. I am sad that came through like a traumatic brain injury, but yay, glad that sober became easier and nicer.
I still don't like to drink that much, but to your point, the MAPS Project and a lot of people who are doing this work with medicines that have been demonized by Western medicine pharmacology.
And what is MAPS for our friends who don't know what MAPS is?
I do not know what the acronym
Multidisciplinary
Association for Psychedelic Studies.
Yeah.
But they're all burners.
Yes.
And that's my whole point.
There's a huge camp of them, and they're very smart and cool.
Yeah, they do. God damn it,
They do whatever Rick Doblin wants them to do.
Zendo, the Zendo dome.
The other sideways, here's a place where you can go if you're having a hard time on drugs. Camp. Zendo.
Yep. If you've run out of citrus, you go right to Zendo. They'll fill your pockets back up for the participants.
And as a cliffhanger, I will say how the Mexico City earthquake in 2017 brought me back to Burning Man.
Ooh.
End part 1.
Brace yourself.
You left us on a cliffhanger.
You were going
You really
I did.
about, Mexico.
I did. After I broke my back, met my Mexican playwright, then girlfriend. Her dad got cancer. We moved to Mexico very suddenly. 2 years later, because it took us a very, very long time to break up, the Mexico City 2017 earthquake happens. I was actually in Serbia at the time, and the people I was working with there were like, "Oh, there was this earthquake in Mexico City." I said, "No, they're just rehearsing. It's just a rehearsal for the earthquake." And they're like, because that was actually the day that the Mexican government had set aside for the national earthquake rehearsal. Wow. And then the earthquake happened. And my friend comes over and says, "Come look at this." And then I see this gigantic building just collapse. And I'm like, "Oh, I got to get back." So I fly back, and my friend KK, who was with Burners Without Borders for a very long time, says, "Hey, I know you live in Mexico City. What do you need?" And I gave him the laundry list of stuff that you need, because I actually had training on manual building seismic recovery back in California when I lived in the Bay Area on Treasure Island. And somehow, when I landed in Atlanta, I had a message from KK saying, "Hey, there's going to be somebody showing up in the international terminal 5 minutes after you land with all of the stuff that you asked for, paid for by Burners Without Borders." And all of the stuff in 2 gigantic duffel bags. I checked it. I made my connection to Mexico City. I got there. And at the time, they had just started x-raying everything. So you basically just went straight through customs. And there were customs people with my bag saying, "Oh, you American rescuer, here you go." And I kind of had that same experience. The stories behind that, I ended up becoming the volunteer coordinator of Alvaro Obregón 286, which was a 6-story building collapse 2 blocks from my house that I was living in Mexico City at the time. Fast forward to 2019, and I had been invited to the Burners Without Borders Spring Summit up at Fly Ranch to what I thought was an opportunity to talk about my experiences in Mexico City, but it didn't end up happening that way. I end up arriving on time at the time that they tell you to show up for the thing, and I asked, "Hey, is there anybody that needs help, anything I can help out with?" And I go over to a pole tent that somebody from Burners Without Borders was setting up. And he said, "Yeah, I don't have any rebar." And I'm thinking he's missing 1 or 2 tent stakes. not all the rebar for a pole tent, which is what the situation was. He needed like 3 sticks of rebar chopped up. I looked at it and I was like, all right, let me see what I can do. Go back into town, meet some friends at Bruno's, sit at the bar, chat up a local, do the whole get to know you, that sort of thing. And I ask, hey, do you know anywhere I can get 3 sticks of rebar? They're 10, 12-foot lengths of rebar you can chop up. And it turned out to be Farmer. And Farmer says, wait here. Goes out the back door of Bruno's, comes back 5 minutes later. He says, I got your 3 sticks outside, $20. So I give him $20. And then I ask him, Farmer, can anybody chop these up for me in town? And he says, ask that guy over there. And there's this guy walking into the bar, and I say, hey, do you know anywhere I can chop up some rebar? And he gives me this look like he knows me. And he says, does it have to happen now? And I say, no, we can just wait. Go back to the bar, keep talking to Farmer, finish my burger. And the phone rings, bartender picks it up, looks at me, and says, are you Nick? And I had not introduced myself by this name to anybody out there. And I said, yes. And she said, Willie said that you can chop up the 3 sticks of rebar that Farmer stole from him at his Quonset hut in town. And so I'm walking through Gerlach with these 10-foot long rebar sticks, go over to his Quonset hut. His chop saw's all set up, chop them up, pound the ends, walk back to Bruno's, get my van, go to his Quonset hut, throw them in my van, get back to the event, which is at Fly Ranch. I'm gone for maybe 90 minutes, and I show up with all the rebar they need cut to length for their particular pole tent. And from that moment, I kind of became that guy for the Burners Without Borders theme camp on Playa.
The guy who makes miracles happen?
They're not miracles. You just kind of have to know people and be able to talk to them and be able to articulate your needs and find people who can meet those needs.
Right,
and then,
so for most people, a miracle.
Fair.
Sounds easy when he says it, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that story. I love that Burners Without Borders dragged you back to us.
Yes, they did.
I still think they're the best thing to come out of this community.
That's the funny thing about Burners Without Borders is people have this not necessarily mistaken impression, but slightly inaccurate that, Burning Man runs a disaster relief organization, which they do not. Burners Without Borders, even from its inception, has been a flag under which burners have done amazing things. Mm-hmm. And at the organizational level, the people who do Burners Without Borders work, they're not trying to build a disaster recovery organization. What they're trying to do is build communities at a local level, do that really hard community organizing work and capacity building so that people in local communities, when disaster strikes, are ready to help themselves.
They're mutual aid networks.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of it, but it's beyond that. They're involved in helping spread burner culture throughout the world through art, through music, through different film projects, through lots of different things. It's really hard to define what Burners Without Borders is aside from that flag that stands for community building more than anything else. Mm-hmm. Surviving the long disaster.
The long disaster we're only just now seeing the beginnings of.
We have. For many people on this planet, that long disaster has always been here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Possibly most people on this planet.
Well, we're not better than them, and we're going to join them soon.
Amen.
How do we outro this?
Listeners, was that a great end to that episode? I don't remember right now, somewhere between 3 and 5 weeks after I edited it, because my friends don't always hang around, and sometimes when they do, they are too sauced to record. The music in this episode is by Escher Beat. What you've been listening to is the Sunrise Chill Out set at Autosub from Burning Man 2015. And if you want to hear more of Escher Beats music, you can find them on SoundCloud. And there's a link in the description notes at the wherever it is in your app for this episode. Find us on social media. We'll either not be on that platform of social media, or we will be on Twitter, watching it crumble, shouting at fascists.
Maybe find us on Mastodon sometime soon or something.
Someone set us up a Mastodon server and show us how to use Discord and pay for people to come here and stream us. And we still probably won't do any of that, but it's nice that you reached out. You should share your stories with us.
You should share your stories with us because that's how we make this podcast happen. Otherwise, we have to drive to remote parts of desolate desert states and interview people that we've just met.
And have you seen gas prices lately?
Nope. Close my eyes at the pump.
Speaking of which, if you are someone who makes a chunk of money just like by happenstance and moral luck,
Buy us gas!
yeah, please buy us gas by donating to our Patreon. You will get, I don't know, a bunch of us, more of us talking that may or may not be any good.
It's pretty good. There's a lot of stuff that I cut out from the episodes that is very entertaining.
D-Day
doesn't
will
necessarily go anywhere.
D-Day will talk to you. Are you lonely and would like to have a conversation with D-Day? Become our patron. You can totally have a conversation with D-Day.
But if you
very
don't
true.
have extra wealth and you're lonely and you want to talk to D-Day and to me and to Beth, be part of this show. Hit us up on Gmail, Accuracy Third. That's all spelled out, Accuracy Third. There's no number in it. At gmail.com. You can call in. You don't have to come visit us in Oakland, but also come visit us in Oakland. Our studio is super cute. We will ply you with
Our
substances
swag
or
and
not
others.
substances and swag.
and you'll
and
get
kindness.
to meet the cats.
You'll get to hang out with the cats, or you can avoid the cats if you're allergic because our
You
studio
can take
is
a
separate.
COVID test.
We can all take rapid tests. We've got a guest coming tomorrow, and we're all going to rapid test in the morning so we don't get each other sick as we hang out and laugh and talk and remember how cool this thing we do is.
Accuracy Third is produced by Accuracy Third.
Which is D-Day and me and Beth. This has been Accuracy Third. We've been talking to Brace. We're going to talk some more to Brace next time.
Goodbye.
This is the end of the episode.
Just like in any other city, there are sobriety meetings on Playa. There's
Yep.
a whole camp dedicated to that.
Anonymous Village, a couple of our crew camped with us for setup and then moved to Anonymous Village. We have an ever-growing population of sober people in various ways, and it actually makes my heart very happy.
I call them sober soldiers and sober generals.
I think that's another one of those big misconceptions, like Burning Man is a party, but the notion that you have to be altered in any way to have Burning Man be
In a lot
like
of ways, it's
mind-bending.
better to just experience Burning Man sober. There is so much stimulus out there
Absolutely.
that you will absolutely find your particular consciousness-altering adventure without having to ingest any substances.
And I would like to say, as someone who is terrified of hallucinogens and Burning Man at the same time for the first couple of years, it's really cool to not like to be sober out there. You will have a blast. There's no need to add more stimulus on top of more stimulus, especially if you're like, I can be easily overwhelmed with stimulus.
No, though it's also one of the safest possible environments to experiment with some psychedelics if you're doing so in a safe and thoughtful manner.
It is one of the very few places on this planet where you can say, walk up to a random stranger and be like, I am freaked out and tripping. Can you help me? And chances are they can and will. It's that kind of level of safe.
Everybody's got their mandarin orange in their pocket to give you so you have something to focus on.
I this is one of the things I love for newbies is like everyone that you might approach if you need help has needed help at some point. Has been the person who like got picked up off the ground, who needed water, who needed food, who needed just someone to listen to them for a minute. Like you shouldn't be scared to ask for help because everyone out there has been helped.
In a way, I think everybody out there who's gone at least 2 or 3 times has helped somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first camp's terminology about it was spatula-ing.
Spatula-ing.
Oh, God, that's a tough word.
Spatula.
You don't usually slap an ing after an
Is
A.
spatula-ing someone where someone
Spatula-ing.
has hit the ground and now you're like, we're adopting you. We're going to make sure that you have enough clothing. We're going to make sure you have enough water. We're going to make sure you have enough food. We're going to sit with you. We're going to hang out with you until you figure out where you are and what is at. And like, it's so rewarding to do that for someone. Just so you know, if you are someone who's desperate and needs that, it's very rewarding. Please ask for help.